This island in the middle of the eastern Mediterranean has been in dispute for a very long time. It has two administrations, one led by Greek Cypriots in the south and another led by Turkish Cypriots in the north. But how did this island become the center of an international dispute? To understand, we need to go back in time. Cyprus was conquered by the Ottoman Empire in 1571 and ruled by it until 1878. During the rule of the Ottoman Empire, Turks settled in the area, and for hundreds of years Cyprus was home to many Turks and Greeks. But as the Ottoman Empire started to weaken, things started to change. In 1878, following a series of agreements, Great Britain took over the provisional administration of Cyprus, but land sovereignty was still with the Ottoman Empire. In 1914, when World War I started, Great Britain unilaterally annexed Cyprus. Turkey recognized the annexation of Cyprus in 1923 as part of the Treaty of Lausanne. Although Cyprus was under British rule, the relationship between the Greeks and Turks started to deteriorate. As the relationship soured, the Greek Orthodox Church started to campaign for enosis, or the union of Cyprus with Greece. By the mid-1950s, Greece started to support this campaign. In 1955, the campaign was led by the Archbishop of the Cyprus Orthodox Church, Makarios, and by George Grivas, a Greek Cypriot colonel who was also the head of the National Organization of Cypriot Fighters. EOKA was established as an underground armed group and is recognized as a terrorist organization by Turkey. With EOKA's involvement, the Enosis campaign turned violent. British citizens, policemen, and servicemen were killed. EOKA also killed Turkish Cypriots, and many Turks were driven out of the villages that they had lived in alongside Greeks. Despite all the damage and chaos, Turkish Cypriots refused the idea of enosis, and Greeks realized the unification of Cyprus and Greece was not going to happen, because Turkish Cypriots, the UK, and the UN were not in favor of it. A set of talks between the Turks and Greeks started in 1959. They led to the Zurich Agreement. The UK, Turkey, Greece, Turkish Cypriots, and Greek Cypriots all agreed that Cyprus become an independent republic. Once the 1960 constitution was signed, the UK transferred land sovereignty to the two parties of the island. In return, the Republic of Cyprus was born. Greece and Turkey were named guarantor states, and a new era had started with the president of Cyprus as Archbishop Makarios and the vice president as Fazıl Küçük. But this peaceful cooperation between Turkish and Greek Cypriots didn't last long. In 1963, due to an armed attack by Greek Cypriots, the binational republic came to an end. After this breakaway, Turkish Cypriots began to set up their own administration that managed their own affairs. But the attacks continued. Between 1963 and 1974, around 30,000 Turkish Cypriots were forced to leave and 103 villages were completely destroyed. The violence was claiming lives, and it wasn't getting any better, even though the UN deployed peacekeeping troops to Cyprus in 1964. But Greece simultaneously continued to deploy troops. By 1974, 20,000 troops had been deployed to Cyprus to shore up the pro-Enosis support. On July 15, 1974, a coup took place in Cyprus. The Greek Cypriot leader Makarios was ousted and was replaced by pro-Enosis nationalist Nikos Samson. Turkey was not happy. Britain had rejected their offer to take joint action in accordance with the Treaty of Guarantee. So, 5 days later, on July 20, Turkey, as a guarantor state, took matters into its own hands and intervened in an effort to stop the persecution of Turkish Cypriots and the annexation of the island. But Greek Cypriots still insisted on their claims of sovereignty over the entire island. In 1983, the Turkish Cypriots formed their own state, the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. After countless talks hosted by the EU and UN, a referendum was held. In 2004, the UN proposed to reunite the island and held a referendum. 65% of Turkish Cypriots were in favor of unification, but 76% of Greek Cypriots rejected it. For years, the UN and EU has insisted that the island be home to both parties and a republic on its own. But even though the Greek Cypriots rejected the bid for unification, the EU declared them a representing entity of the whole island and accepted Greek Cyprus as an EU member. Today, there are efforts to bring peace to both parties and renegotiation talks. But will we ever